I give the call to the member for Goldstein.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, and I rise to support this bill as part of this Parliament's enduring responsibility to honour Australian veterans. And I know that that's a sentiment that is shared by hopefully everybody in this place as well as in the Senate, the other place, because none of us who have not been, or any of us who have not been veterans, will never appreciate the sacrifice or the preparedness to sacrifice that so many have been prepared to give to our great nation. And Deputy Speaker, I was reminded of this recently when I visited a veteran community in the Goldstein electorate, many of whom have previously been actively involved in the RSL by visiting the Vasey RSL care in Brighton East with former current Senator, I should say, Jim Molan, and of course veteran himself. These champions included people like Bob Larkin, Peter Lanigan, Judy Smith, Dennis Pope, Ray Dunstan, Georgie Burgess, Jeff Walters and Roger Hyde. They have helped guide returning servicemen and women with distinction, and they have my gratitude and, of course, the gratitude of the Goldstein community. Because we will never forget your preparedness to sacrifice and continue to honour veterans and their families. And that is, of course, what we seek to do and to enliven as part of this piece of legislation. The government has introduced a host of measures in order to improve the lives of veterans and their families and support them through difficult periods. This support is included in the 2018-19 budget, which allocates additional funding to dental and allied health services, improving mental health, assisting veterans of finding work, and increasing access to the Department of Veterans Affairs services, as well as, of course, assisting veterans with the challenges of depression and associated with mental health consequences, and, of course, tragically, the example of suicides. And in 2017, there were 84 veteran suicides. And I would hope, and I'm sure, that everybody here recognises that that number is simply not good enough. So we have acted, and we've delivered an additional $31 million in funding to support veterans' mental health, on top of last year's increase of $58.1 million. We have provided an additional $8.3 million to improve employment opportunities for veterans, both in improving community engagement with veterans in employment and assisting veterans adjusting to civilian work. But, Deputy Speaker, you would understand that the value and the contribution of what we are doing will never properly be measured in dollars and cents. It will only ever be fully realised in the lives lived and the circumstances avoided to make sure that veterans can make a continuing contribution to their country, to be able to stand on their own 2 feet, to be fully accepted and embraced within our community, and to live full lives. The Veterans Entitlement Amendment Bill 2018 continues these important efforts. We are seeking to ease the bureaucratic burden and administration for bereaving families of veterans by simplifying the way the Department of Veterans Affairs dispenses final payments. Importantly, this amendment does not change the amount paid to the veteran's family. We respect the importance of the Veterans Service Pension, Income Support Supplement and Social Security Pension. The bill merely reduces the administrative processes to abate the period of grieving for families of veterans. And I'm sure, again, I would hope that nobody would want a situation where you have a bereaving family and that the biggest hurdle they face after their grief is red tape. After a veteran's passing, the Department of Veterans Affairs entitles surviving family to a bereavement payment, and we recognise that this payment plays an important role in supporting a grieving family during their tragedy. However, when a veteran passes, there is often a delay between their date of death and when the Department of Veterans Affairs is notified. This means the final payment of the pension is often higher than what the veteran and surviving partner are entitled, and this occurs because when the payment is issued to veterans while they are still alive, it is assumed they will continue to be eligible for the entire period. Therefore, it is frequently the case that families owe the difference between the value of the veteran's pension that was paid and the value entitled to the veteran after considering their passing. The current system is inefficient and unnecessarily burdensome on the families of those who have already lost a loved one. It requires that they undergo a formal debt recovery method undertaken by the department. This bill seeks to simplify this process by deducting the overpaid value paid to the veteran and surviving partner over the bereavement payment entitled to the families, cutting out the unnecessary debt recovery stage. There are 215,000 veterans receiving support from the Department of Veterans Affairs, and our measures aim to improve their lives, every single one of them. They're Aussies just like us, and they deserve our support. So the measures taken in this bill, particularly in times of tragedy or in times where people are grieving, they will know that everything that this government can do to minimise their pain and the burden of bureaucracy is being taken off them so that they can have their thoughts and prayers where they're properly deserved. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
I thank the member for Goldstein.